Above the skies of Kelveron Prime, the alien fleet waited. Hundreds of ships hovered in perfect formation. Shields active, weapons hot. The commanders had been warned. Human vessels were approaching. But what arrived didn't make sense. Just one ship. It was small, smaller than a patrol ship. No visible weapons, no escorts, no energy spikes. It drifted forward slowly, as if it didn't care. Admiral Vector of the Draxari Empire laughed. This is what the humans send. A single scout ship. Weak. They've lost their edge. He gave the order. Destroy it. 5 alien cruisers moved in. Shields humming. Lasers charging. Then, everything went wrong. First, their targeting systems failed. Second, their engines shut down. Third, their ships exploded without a single shot fired. The tiny human ship never moved. It never opened fire. It simply existed, and 5 cruisers vanished. The alien fleet panicked. Vector screamed, "What kind of weapon is this?" His sensors tried to scan the human ship, but the data came back corrupted. The hull was made of something unknown. The heat signatures were impossible. The ship was colder than space itself. A message flashed on every screen in the alien fleet, written in a dead Earth language that translators struggled to decode. You should have remembered. Fear kept you alive last time. This time, there will be no survivors. The alien capital cruiser, the size of a city, charged forward. Its plasma cannons fired. The blast lit up the darkness like a second sun. The human ship was gone, but only for a moment. It reappeared directly above the cruiser, then cut through it like paper. No explosion, no debris, just silence, and 2 halves of a once great warship drifting into the void. The alien fleet broke formation. Ships scattered in all directions. Some fled. Some surrendered. Some simply froze, too afraid to move. In a secret council command center, Speaker Veller watched the battle footage. One of his advisors whispered, "Sir, that was a scout class. Bare minimum firepower." Veller didn't blink. That wasn't firepower. That was something else. Something we've never seen. The advisor asked, "Should we negotiate?" Veller whispered, "We don't even know who's leading them." On board the human ship, a figure stood at the control center. No name, no rank, just a voice, calm and cold. "Send the next wave. They'll understand soon. This is just the warning." Ending suspense. Across a dozen systems, more small human ships appeared, always alone. Each one was different, each one unstoppable. And above Earth's old location, in a dark sector no one dared to enter, a massive shadow began to move. Not a ship, not a fleet, a machine world. Earth had changed. Beneath the frozen moon of Nexer-9, the galaxy's last hope was awakening. A weapon built long ago in secret, a machine designed to fight only one enemy: humans. The aliens called it the Obliterator Protocol. Buried since the human exile, this weapon was so dangerous, even the Council had sworn to never activate it. But now, they were desperate. General Harvok stood in the control chamber, claws tight around the activation lever. "Do it," he growled, "before they reach our core worlds." The ancient device roared to life. Lights turned red. The moon shook. Then, silence. A voice, not human, whispered through the chamber speakers. "Target species confirmed. Protocol unlocked. Initiating final sequence." Across the stars, something changed. A dark cloud began spreading. Not gas, not dust. Nanites, billions of them, invisible to the eye, hungry for anything human. They didn't kill. They erased. The first human scout ships disappeared mid-flight, eaten away molecule by molecule. Human outposts in remote systems went dark. The Arc Mind itself paused. For the first time in decades, the machine world stopped transmitting. On the council floor, cheers erupted. They're vulnerable. It's working. But their celebration was short. Inside the Arcmind, alarms flashed. Not panic, not fear, just analysis. The machine voice spoke. Threat detected. Source: Nexar 9. Response: overwhelming counterforce authorized. In the blink of an eye, a black cube the size of a moon detached from the Arcmind. No engine burn, no noise. It simply vanished. Minutes later, Nexar 9 exploded, not with fire, but with silence. No sound, no signal, no survivors. The council didn't even have time to understand what happened. Only one message appeared on every screen, from warships to homeworlds. You used what you swore never to use. Now we do the same. Then the real horror began. The humans activated something no one had ever seen before, a class of ship beyond anything in galactic history. They were called silencers. They didn't fire weapons. They erased space itself. One by one, council worlds began to vanish, not explode. Vanish, as if they were never there. Entire systems gone. No debris, no survivors, no memory in the AI archives. Speaker Veller collapsed to his knees. We tried to fight gods with old bones, he whispered. Even General Harvox was speechless. They weren't fighting us, he muttered. They were holding back, ending suspense. Just as the council prepared to surrender everything, a final message arrived. This time from a real human, not a machine. A woman standing alone, eyes glowing silver. You chose war. Now you will live in fear, as we once did. The next voice you hear will decide your fate. And then, silence. The Galactic Council was out of time. Worlds were surrendering. Fleets were disappearing. The humans had become ghosts of war, appearing without warning, striking without mercy. But some leaders still believed in resistance. A secret alliance was formed, called Project Silence. 12 advanced species pooled their fleets. Their goal: destroy the Arcmind, the machine world that once was Earth. If they could kill the brain, maybe the body would die too. They built a stealth armada minus 5,000 ships. No lights, no signals, hidden in quantum shadows. They left from a dark system near the edge and vanished into the rift. No broadcasts, no noise, just silence. 4 days later, a single ship returned. It drifted into council space, heavily damaged, full of burn marks and melted metal. Rescue teams pulled the captain, an insectoid named Veril, from the wreckage. He was still alive, but barely. His voice shook as he whispered, "Don't go there. Don't even look." "What happened?" asked the medics. Veril began to scream. Inside the council's war chamber, the black box from the wrecked ship was played. It showed the fleet's final moments. First, their ships passed through a gravity wave, one that shouldn't exist. Second, their stealth systems failed. Not disabled, reversed. Their locations broadcast across the stars. Third, the Arcmind responded. Not with ships, not with weapons, with thought. A massive network of orbital minds activated, a web of data, memory, and raw power. The fleet didn't explode. They were rewritten. Hull plating turned into dust. Weapons transformed into useless crystal. Pilots lost control of their bodies. Some began laughing, others screaming. Their ships twisted into shapes that made no sense. Some turned inside out, some simply disappeared. The last image showed Earth, dark, silent, surrounded by machines that moved like living things. The recording ended with 2 words, spoken by a calm human voice. That was your only chance. Back at the council, silence fell. No one laughed now. No one spoke of victory. Even the strongest war species, like the Krell, the Varnuk, and the Celery began pulling back their fleets. Some planets even destroyed their own weapons, hoping to be spared. Speaker Veller stood up slowly. We must speak with them. We must beg for mercy. But one voice disagreed. General Harvox, a battle-scarred warrior, growled, "No, we find the old weapon. The one from before the treaty. The one we swore never to use." Veller's eyes widened. That thing was banned for a reason. Harvox's claws clenched. So were humans. Ending suspense. Deep beneath the ice crust of a forbidden moon, old systems came online. Red lights blinked. Ancient doors opened. Inside was a weapon not seen in centuries, built to kill humans during the First War. It had only one name: the Obliterator Protocol. But as they activated it, something else woke up. And it was watching. The Galactic Council chamber was quiet, heavier than usual. 12 alien species sat around a glowing table, their faces filled with fear. Holograms of destroyed ships hovered in the air, burning wreckage from the border region. The cause? A small human ship, just one. High Speaker Veller, a tall insectoid from the Thrin species, clicked his claws nervously. It cannot be. Humans were wiped out, weren't they? Admiral Xor from the Varnak Empire growled. We exiled them, banished their kind a century ago after the Council War. No one's heard from them since. A younger council member, Jareen of the Fraxi, spoke with a shaky voice. The records say we never destroyed Earth. We just stopped watching them. Everyone turned to the central screen. A recording played, a flickering message from long ago. A human diplomat, calm and cold, spoke with a fire behind his eyes. You fear what we are. You fear what we can become. So you've chosen exile over understanding. We will not return to your council, not unless you give us a reason. The video ended. Silence followed. Veller hissed. We gave them a reason. We invaded Sector 9 last month. We didn't know humans had returned there. Jareen's eyes widened. That wasn't just an attack on pirates. No, said Admiral Xor slowly. Those weren't pirates. That sector belonged to them. We hit a hidden human colony. Now the truth was crawling into their minds. The attack had awoken something that had slept for 100 years. In the dark corners of the galaxy, many had forgotten the human treaty. It was signed after the last Great War, a war that humans had almost won alone. Back then, they were new to space, yet they learned faster than anyone. They built strange weapons, ones no species dared to copy. They fought without fear. And when the war ended, the Council made a choice. Ban them. Not destroy. Just remove. Force them to disappear. Humans were told to return to Earth. Their colonies were broken. Their ships were dismantled. And the rest of the galaxy sighed in relief. The human problem was gone. Or so they thought. Now the signs were back. Ships with no signatures. Technology that scrambled sensors. Weapons that melted through shields. And the terrifying part: they hadn't even seen a proper human fleet yet. One council member leaned forward. What if they never left? What if they just went dark, building in silence? They were angry, said Veller, but they were quiet. We thought that meant peace, but maybe it meant they were preparing. Jareen whispered, what kind of species disappears for a century and returns like this? Another voice joined in, old, slow, but clear. Elder Kor, one of the few council members who had seen the human war. His 4 eyes were filled with memory and fear. You never saw what I saw, he said. One human ship took down an entire dreadnought fleet above Rallus Prime. I was there. I saw it with my own eyes. We lost contact with our flagship in 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Then the rest of us watched it happen again and again. The room froze. We begged Earth for a ceasefire, Kor continued. And they accepted it, not because they were weak, but because they didn't want to become us. That's why the treaty exists. That's why we sent them away. Velar asked, "Do you think they'll accept peace again?" Kor shook his head. "This time, we started it. We broke the silence. We drew first blood." Outside the chamber, more reports arrived. A second human ship had been spotted. No weapons visible, just drifting near a trade station. But every ship that got close lost power. Crew vanished. No wreckage, no bodies. And still, no reply from the humans. No demands, no message. Only silence. That silence was louder than war. Back in the chamber, Velar stood slowly. "We need to contact them. Now." "With what words?" Jareen asked. "We feared them. We threw them out. And now we fear them again." Admiral Xor's claws tapped the table. "Send a signal, not a command, not an order. A request." "For peace?" Velar asked. "No," said Kor softly. "For mercy." The council nodded. There was no pride left. Only fear and the heavy weight of past mistakes. The forgotten treaty had been broken. And now the forgotten humans had returned. But this time, they were not the same. And this time, the galaxy would remember why they were banished in the first place. Far beyond the edge of the known galaxy, deep in the Black Rift Zone, something stirred. What once was Earth was no longer just a planet. It had become something else, something terrifying. A living machine world. Orbiting it were hundreds of black, silent structures. They looked like moons, but moved like ships. Each was armed. Each was watching. And in the center of it all, floating above Earth's dead surface, was a single tower, miles tall, glowing red from within. They called it the Arcmind, and it had awakened. Inside a galactic council outpost, an urgent transmission appeared. No encryption, no warning, just a clear, calm voice, human, but altered, cold, robotic, alive, yet not. "We gave you peace. You used it to rebuild your armies. You forgot your own history. So we have returned to remind you." The message was broadcast in every known language, across every system, on every frequency. The same voice spoke again. "This is not a war. This is a correction. You will surrender your weapons. You will stand down. You will submit, or you will be deleted." Panic spread like wildfire. Some alien races tried to negotiate. Others begged for mercy. Many laughed, until they saw what came next. One planet, Corvaxis, refused to comply. It had over 6 billion inhabitants, heavily armed, defended by 3 orbital defense rings and 1 Titan-class war moon. The humans sent 1 ship. They never fired. The ship entered orbit and then released a pulse. Not a bomb, not a laser, just sound, or maybe data. In exactly 8.6 seconds, every weapon on Corvaxis shut down. Its AI cores melted. Its defense satellites fell from the sky. The Titan-class war moon cracked in half. The humans left. They didn't conquer. They didn't land. They just demonstrated. Back at the council, Speaker Velar stood frozen. "They don't want territory," he whispered. "They don't want slaves. They want obedience." Admiral Xor slammed a claw on the table. "This is madness. What kind of technology does that?" Elder Kor, the only one who remembered the human war, answered softly. "They had technology even then that scared us. Now they've had 100 years, unwatched, unchallenged, alone." Inside the Arcmind, human commanders met. They wore no uniforms. They had no names. They were part of something larger now. One of them, Unit 7, spoke. "2 alien species have already submitted. Should we accept?" Another, Unit 3, replied, "Yes. For now. Others will follow once they understand." Unit 7 nodded. "And if they resist?" The answer came not from the humans, but from the machine itself. "Then we remember the treaty. and we show them why they feared us. Ending suspense. Across the stars, every species now faced the same question: submit or vanish. And still, the humans had not deployed their full strength. The galaxy was learning the truth. The humans hadn't just returned. They had evolved. The message spread like wildfire across the galaxy. They're back. Just 2 words, but they made entire governments panic. High above the gas planet 4 and 6, the galactic archive buzzed with activity. Ancient files, sealed for over 100 years, were being opened for the first time. Dusty holograms, encrypted recordings, and war reports long buried were now glowing again. Archivist Merrill, a soft-skinned thinker from the Mindari race, stared in horror at the glowing title. The Human Treaty. Class Omega Lockdown. His assistant asked nervously, why would something be locked that deep? Merrill didn't answer. He opened the file. The hologram showed the final meeting between Earth's leaders and the Galactic Council. The human speaker, older, calm, eyes full of silent anger, stood before hundreds of alien delegates. You call us unstable, dangerous, too wild for your peaceful galaxy. But we offered friendship. You rejected it. We offered alliance. You feared it. So now, we leave. And we promise this. If you come for us again, you will remember why you were afraid. The video ended with humans walking out of the council chamber. No violence. No shouts. Just silence. Cold, final silence. Merrill leaned back, whispering, they warned us. Meanwhile, aboard a large alien dreadnought near the warfront, General Klax paced nervously. His forces had been part of the cleansing mission in Sector 9, a mission to clear out what they thought were illegal mining colonies. Only now did he realize the horrifying truth. They had attacked a hidden human world. A survivor of that mission, a scout named Talvin, was brought to the command room. He shook as he spoke. They didn't fire first. We attacked. They gave warnings, told us to leave. And you didn't? Asked the general. Talvin's voice cracked. We thought they were bluffing. They weren't. What happened? Talvin stared straight ahead. Everything stopped. No noise, no pain, just light. Then, darkness. I woke up alone in a pod, drifting. They let me live to deliver a message. General Klax frowned. What message? Talvin's eyes widened. This was only the beginning. Back on the Galactic Council homeworld, panic was rising. Emergency meetings, armies mobilized, fleets recalled, but none of it mattered, because no one knew where the humans were coming from. They weren't listed in any system. No records showed their bases. No patrols could track their ships. It was like they had never stopped preparing for a war no one wanted to remember. But the humans remembered. And now, the galaxy remembered too. On the council's top floor, Speaker Veller stood over a blinking red alert. Another human ship had appeared. No weapons, no threats, just a signal. 3 words. You broke it. The treaty, the silence, the peace. And now it was too late to undo it. Ending suspense. Just as Veller turned to alert the council, a massive human fleet uncloaked above a major trade route. Thousands of ships, still small, still quiet, still unregistered. The humans were here. And this time, they weren't waiting to talk. Galactic space had gone quiet. Planets were gone. Fleets were dust. The once mighty Galactic Council was broken. Leaders missing, world silent, allies hiding. Every species waited. They knew something worse was coming. And then, it arrived. A massive signal echoed across the galaxy. It wasn't sound. It wasn't words. It was presence. Suddenly, every screen turned black, then lit up with a single symbol. A broken Earth, wrapped in metal chains, now shattered. A voice followed. Not robotic, not angry, just calm. Human, you forgot. We begged for peace. We offered friendship. You gave us exile. You hunted our children. You erased our name. The voice paused. So we became what you feared. Then a figure appeared. Not a man, not a woman, something more. Part flesh, part machine. Eyes glowing like stars. No name, no title, just the prime mind, the true leader of the human-machine world. It looked at the council's survivors. You see us now and ask, will you destroy us all? But the question is, should we let any of you live? Speaker Viller, trembling, fell to his knees. He tried to speak. Please, we were wrong. We didn't know. The prime mind raised a hand. You knew. You thought we were weak. You thought time would make us forget. You thought exile would break us. The screen showed what humans had become. Vast machine cities, living AI minds, bio-soldiers, weapons powered by stars. Humanity had become a force of nature. But then, the prime mind did something unexpected. It spoke 3 words. We forgive you. Gasps echoed through the remaining council chambers. The prime mind continued. Not because you deserve it, but because we are done with war. We don't need revenge. We already won. You will keep your worlds, but you will never raise arms again. You will never build weapons against us. You will live under watch. And if you break this peace, we will erase your species without emotion. Then the prime mind vanished. The human ships disappeared instantly, like they were never there. Peace returned, but it was not freedom. It was a warning, etched into every sky, every system, every race. Never forget the Death Worlders. They were exiled. They were hunted. And now, they ruled. Final closing line for YouTube book. And that's how the galaxy learned. The scariest species isn't the strongest. It's the one that remembers.